Okay, I'm looking at different ways to make some extra money, have some income coming in even when I retire. And this came in my email, the Merrill's real estate class, and it says what you'll learn. Here's exactly what you'll learn in our 2-hour class, and it's supposedly free. I'm not, and then you get these, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing to do. I'm just saying that I'm looking. I don't know what you guys are, men and women are looking at, what kind of ideas you have. Technically, that's one of the reasons why I got a YouTube was to make money, which I did have more followers on a different channel that got kicked off. But it's not really, the money from YouTube certainly hasn't been enough that I can quit my job. Let me show you something else. Okay, and this does have a disclaimer on the bottom. It says Than Merrill is a real estate investing expert who has bought and sold hundreds of properties. Than Merrill's real estate success is not typical. Most people who attend this introductory free event do not apply the strategies, techniques, and systems and therefore make little or no money. The students above are not paid for their stories. However, they have invested in optional training materials and support programs offered at the free event. Any income or earnings depicted are not to be interpreted as common, typical, expected, or normal. This particular result may be exceptional, and the variables that impact results are so numerous and sometimes uncontrollable that we make no guarantees as to your income or earnings of any kind. Your success is not guaranteed and will be based on your effort, determination, education, and market conditions. In fact, you can lose money. Sorry, I had to stop for a minute. In fact, you can lose money in real estate like any other investment. Students featured above do sign an affidavit that what they represent is true and accurate to the best of their knowledge. However, fortune builders cannot verify with complete accuracy their statements, so your refinance on them is at your own risk. So blah 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 blah. Okay, let's see what else. But first, I'm going to go up here because I think that some of these are good ideas. The 12 Commandments of How Wealthy People Think. There are different ways to think that make a difference in whether or not you're going to be bringing money in or toward yourself. In Money Resource Guide, in this guide, you'll be introduced to a few sources of money that can potentially be utilized to flip real estate, such as a such blah, blah, as well as a case study of a deal where each of these sources of money have been used. A lot of this information you can find yourself online or at the library, and I think those are actually good ideas to look at. How a person's thinking and how a person's mentality can affect his or her financial status and outcome. By helping to raise your consciousness, you will be empowered to make better decisions in the present. Great ideas. It's So then this is another sort of fun thing I've been doing. Publishers Clearinghouse Lotto. They have all sorts of games up here that you can play. This is the number of tokens, which is really deceiving because it doesn't really mean much of anything. And this is one of many games, and in between each game they have a commercial that you're supposed to listen to. But tonight I could possibly win this by matching the right numbers, and so if you have a little bit of time, it's something you can do. I did win $10, which isn't a lot, but you know, it's a beginning, right? Let's see, this one is for $1 million. This is all part of the series of games that you can play. You know, you might win $1 million as well as I might. And then, of course, the ads that are on here, like this one for the camper trailer, is because I've been looking at those too, because the way things are going, I don't know if I'm going to need to live in one of those. And I know there's a lot of people that talk about that they're doing it because of freedom, but I just watched this thing about, I'll show you. So this is from June 29th, 2016. Seattle's homeless emergency, no end in sight. Talking about 45 homeless people died in 2015, said Murray, the Seattle mayor. An emergency if ever he's seen one. And so then they are trying to figure out what to do about that. More than 7 months later, there's still panic on the faces of elected officials. I don't necessarily think that any of these look like panic, but they certainly are not homeless either. This is a statistic from Social Solutions that says, this is from 2016, 564,708 people in the U.S. are homeless. I can't believe that that's all. I'm believing that it's much higher than that. But it's an interesting article. This is an article that I don't really totally agree with either, but from 2013, talking about homelessness is a major issue in Canada. And then they have a map here of what is this a map of? Oh, I'm sorry, of England homelessness, and America, which it kind of makes sense that there's less homeless people in these states here because it's so dang cold that you would die. But in reality, it's really cold in all these states up here, including really cold in parts up here. Nevada can be very, very cold. Actually, even these states down here can get really cold. I've been in Louisiana when it snowed. I wouldn't want to be homeless when it's snowing outside. Anywhere. What I do like about this website, though, is that it's a they're trying to answer what homelessness being solved would do. Eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, reducing child mortality rates, improving maternal health. So they're trying to say that solving it would be a good thing, and I agree. So here's a site about how to survive, because there wasn't money once. Nothing will help people survive more than a tight-knit community that cares for its members. In this community, you will find different skills, access to different resources, and a psychological morale improvement. Finding others with the same mindset will help you survive long term and make the situation far more bearable than braving the dark times alone. Basic tools. Knives are considered one of the most basic tools in any society. It has been seen as the very beginning of technology after the discovery of fire. Using a proper knife for a survival scenario is arguably the most critical part of survival. Your world will revolve around your knife, so it is important to have one appropriately selected. You do not want to survive on a kitchen knife, as these are only tailored for light duty. Survival knives can come in different forms, but they are able to perform these basic tasks: chopping or cutting wood, carving wood, stripping bark for lashing, hunting, cleaning game, cutting cords, fishing, climbing, fashioning other weapons, striking, fire, steel, shaving and scoring wood, and defense. It is for this reason your knife must be durable. It also says you do not want your knife to be longer than 5 inches. If it is 6 inches and above, it will be difficult to handle and could possibly be dangerous. Also avoid serrated edges on your knife. The most powerful cutting and carving edge is at the base near the handle. If the area is serrated, it will be difficult to use to chop and carve. You may also need to defend yourself with your knife. This may be more preferable than using bullets, as you may not want to draw attention to the location of the shot. This means that your knife must come to a sharp point at the tip. This may also allow you to lash your knife to a long stick, creating a spear for hunting. Another possible function of your knife may allow you to throw it at a target. That's a hard skill. And if you're going to try something like that, you need to practice. This is another great hunting application, but it is less for defense, in the event that your target runs away with your precious knife. So then it goes on and talks about a lot of stuff on here that's interesting if you want to learn it yourself. But this, to me, is two different techniques. The fox walk is a method for how tribal populations were able to move in the forest completely undetected by even wildlife. And the link for this will be below. It's off the grid news. And there are basics of wide-angle vision, and I would suggest getting on this link, Off-Grid News, which will be below, and reading them and practicing them. So this is an interesting site about the tsunami disaster in 2004, which tore a lot of buildings to pieces. But this house is a traditional house that it said it was built nearly a century ago, survived without any damage, while the house next door, a 6-year-old brick and cement-made home, was destroyed without a trace. Like most homes across Nias Island, the house was made of wood in the traditional style. A typical house is about 20 meters long by 10 meters wide and stands on crisscross stilts. Dozens of heavy stones are stacked underneath to keep them stable during earthquakes and high winds. And then it says they have the flexibility that modern houses lack. However, the craftsmen who were able to build and repair the houses have all died. So this is something we need to learn, these kind of things. This is a great website about people of the Murray River in Australia. I'm going to move down fast. Really simple to read and interesting. And here is, they tell you how to cook with clay, which is really simple. Also, let's go back down, or let's keep going down. They tell you what happened to them when the white people came. Here they tell you how to catch fish. And let's go down here a little further. Earth oven. This is the easiest way to cook a delicious meal. Everybody should know this. Scoop out a shallow pit in the earth and set your fire in it. Place stones on and around the fire. When the stones are hot, rake out the fire and place wet green leaves in the pit. Add potatoes, whitefish, or chicken on the leaves. Add more green leaves. See here? Then hot stones, and of course you need to know that the leaves you're putting in aren't poisonous. Then add the hot stones and cover with earth, as they're doing right here. Cooking time, 3 to 4 hours. Stay near the fire and put it out when you have finished. And voila. And then here's the timeline for them. And as it turns out, these people form their own communities and farms, and some of us live on the river towns. So this has a happy end to this story here. I really want to post this. Only to the white man was nature a wilderness. Luther Standing Bear, USA. Long before the word conservation was coined, tribal peoples developed highly effective measures for maintaining the richness of their environment. They have sophisticated codes of conservation to stop overhunting and preserve biodiversity. And then they talk about how tribal peoples are being illegally evicted from these lands in the name of conservation. Now they're accused of poaching because they hunt their food, and they face arrest and beatings, torture and death, while fee-paying big game hunters are encouraged. Their lives and lands are being destroyed by the conservation industry, tourism, and big business. And I would encourage you to read this. Now, I'm almost out of time here, but money in some form has been a part of human history for the last 3,000 years. Before that time, it is assumed a system of bartering was likely used. Only 3,000 years. This book, Dreaming the Dark by Starhawk, is a book that everyone should read about the history of Europe and what happened to those indigenous people there. I'm grateful for you, and I'm here at your service. Bye bye.